Hello everyone, my name is SMDBZX and welcome back to the next part of Issei 10. Last time we went over the events of episode 2, so this time we'll go over the events of episode 3 and 4. And I know you might be confused because if you're following the series, because last episode I said I'm only doing one episode at a time. Well, episode 4 is a special exception due to how short it is. So, yeah. Now, how about we get started on this little story of ours? Issei Hyoudou is on his way to school, thinking about a lot of things. The fear of him, fallen angels, being a superhero again, and other things, including a cute blonde he runs into. He asks for directions to a church, and while Issei knows where it is, he has to warn her. He tells her that a very dangerous group is living there, not necessarily fallen angels for the sake of not wanting to make her panic, and she's shocked and definitely panicked. Issei hangs out with her and he comes to realize that if she can't stay with the group at the church, then she's in trouble. That's the whole reason she came to this town, after all. And she has nowhere to stay. Issei takes this opportunity to invite Asuya to stay with him. Being gullible and innocent, she takes this offer. Then again, Issei isn't nearly as bad in this what if due to past experiences, so maybe she'll be okay? Maybe? Possibly? Later that day, Issei gets a call. They would like to help in securing an area for the devils. Issei doesn't get it, but he gets over there and sees students from his school, leaving him a bit dumbfounded. Same with them, to an extent, just not as much. They go in, make some noise, and walk out. Not without catching Rias' attention, and vice versa, however. The next day, when Issei goes to school, Rias and Akino approach him. They talk to him about the previous night, and get to know each other well. While Issei isn't nearly as hated in this what if, he's still a loser. So, people saying Issei walk around with the two prettiest girls in school is quite weird. And just as everything couldn't get worse for our hero, protagonist, that's a better word to use, Issei gets nearly ran over by Asuya, who is transferred to the school through some plumber connections. Since, the school is owned by Rias' father, and the plumbers have connections to the devils, and, Issei has connections to the plumbers. There was a lot of shenanigans going on, okay? But at the end of the day, she got into school. That's what's important. As you might have noticed by now, Asuya here isn't a devil or anything, so she's kinda clueless of all the shenaniganizing that went on in the background, or the events of last night. But regardless, Rias invites Issei and even Asuya to visit the Occult Research Club. And like any responsible person, he does not. He has no reason to. I mean, they're devils. Why would he bring Asuya, the embodiment of cute innocence inside this universe, aside from maybe a little vampire we meet later, why would he introduce her? However, as he gets home that day, Rias is already there, visiting his home. How unfortunate. Rias had figured that this was what Issei was going to do. Avoid her, that is. So, she came to his house anyways, without protection. And, with teleportation magic, makes life a lot easier. His father and mother were well aware of Issei's Omnitrix escapades, but even so, this was a beautiful, sexy, and rich woman. He wasn't going to tell her she can't see his son. This was his chance. First the cute and adorable Asuya, who they protect, as they should. Now this walking sack of beauty. They're going to go on the attack. So, yeah, I had a little bit of a rap set up here, but I'm not gonna do it. I don't. It's not happening. Next clip, please, Editor BZX. Anyhow, Rias talks to Issei, gets to know him, and of course, talks to him about the fallen angel situation. They share info with each other, what they know. Rias assumes that they wanted Asuya for her sacred gear, which Issei is confused about. Rias says that some people are born with amazing abilities called sacred gears. Some have levels beyond that. Others have Longinus, considered godly weapons. Wait, Longinus? Did I said that right? It's kind of too late. I already wrote the script. Whatever. If I messed that up, please inform me. It's been a long time since I heard that word. Moving on. Others have Longinus, considered godly weapons. He has the feeling that Issei also has a sacred gear, which interests him. He never thought of his own internal abilities since the Omnitrix, but his body's far too weak to support that power. Issei says that he has plenty of strong aliens. In fact, he's pretty sure he could turn into a devil. He looks through his Omnitrix, which has a lot of aliens, and sees that he has fallen angel and devil DNA organized and tracked, registered. That's the word we'll use inside the Omnitrix. It should be noted, however, that he has a lot of aliens, and since the recalibrated Omnitrix has the holograms instead of the view of the completed Omnitrix, it is really hard for him to go through and actually select an alien. So don't expect him to get a specific alien unless he is sitting there and looking through the Omnitrix. Otherwise, it will take him quite a while. Issei turns into the devil, and his power is amazing. Remember that the Omnitrix turns you into the apex of that species. He also happens to have red hair like Rias, which they both find interesting. Issei imagines he probably got his DNA sample from Rias, since they go to the same school, and he did remember that the Omnitrix was kind of losing its mind the first time he went to school with it on his wrist again. This interests Rias. She has an idea as well. She mentions to him that, technically speaking, he is a devil. So, technically speaking, he's allowed to help them with issues involving devils. She suggests that he works with them on the case of the fallen angels, and Issei accepts. Rias is more than capable of handling it with her party alone, but she was quite the manipulator. Issei has one tiny problem though. He didn't want to leave Asuya alone, obviously. But then he figures he can just leave her with the plumbers at their base. He said he'd think about it. The next morning, Issei wakes up and he sees he has a message. Fallen angels, or more so a guy associated with them, has killed a human. Normally, the plumbers wouldn't have authority to mess with fallen angels and devil affairs, especially in one of their territories. But since a human was killed, they have the authority to arrest him. He is also tasked to get more information from the devils. Of course, he already did that last night. So he grabs Asuya and calls Rias. Rias agrees to keep her safe. The fallen angels wouldn't show up to the school under the devil's control, but she was going to join him with her peerage. This goes against what Issei wanting to go on the day, but they explain that the fallen angels are more likely going to be out at night. Issei reluctantly agrees and has Asuya stay with the Plumbers HQ. That way, they can just all go together. He has no reason for Asuya to go to school if it's going to be the middle of the day. Or, I explained that wrong. Asuya was supposed to go to school, and then Rias would watch over her after school if he wasn't around. But since they're going to be doing it at night, he just takes her to the Plumbers HQ. I wonder if she thought she was getting arrested. I'm going to go over episode 4's events very quickly. Asuya isn't dying here. There are less fallen angels than in canon, but Rainier and Freed are still here. Totoko and Kiba alone were enough to take care of this place in canon, and with Issei here, he has 1,010. I was going to say in 1, but then 10. Issei 10. 1 and 10. You got it. I'm funny. But there's really no reason this would go well for the fallen angels. I also can't imagine that it'll be very entertaining, because despite what some people tell me, there's just nothing showing that Rainier is very strong. Pre-magic using Issei was able to body her, so I just don't think she's that strong. But if you have to know what Issei would get, I imagine it'd be Humongosaur. SMDBZX play the clip. And that's the wraps, folks. Once again, this video is short, but I'm trying to go for one episode every episode of this series. But that doesn't really help much. That makes the series this series very long and unlikely to finish. But since basically nothing happens to episode 4 but violence, and not very interesting violence, this has been SMDBZX, and I'll see you next time. See ya. Rias has figured that this was what he was going to do. Avoid her, that is. So she came to his house anyways. His father and mother were well aware of Issei's Omnitrix escapades, and so this was a beautiful, sexy, and rich woman. They weren't going to tell her she can't see his son. This was his chance. First, this cute and adorable Ashia. I'll protect you, Mariel. I'll protect you, Mariel. I'll protect you, Mariel. Urge was a good show. That was the end of episode 3, but we're quickly going to go over the events of episode 4 because, but bluntly, there really isn't much to go off of here. Asya is not dying. There are less fallen angels here than in canon, but Rainier and Freed are here. Neko, and Kaiba. I saw an image of Kaiba on my screen and really just said Kaiba. Wow. Next, this goes to Blue. I'm going to go over episode 4's events very quickly. Asya isn't dying here. There are less fallen angels than in canon, but Rainier and Freed are here. Kuneko and Kiba are alone. But why can't I say Kiba's name?